Alright, hello everyone. My name is Disc. This is a 21 Theater of Pain. We are Fortified, Spiteful, and Grievous. This was a really good run, and I think this is my first Theater of Pain on this channel, so let's see what happens. Common first play is to lead with a skip, mind suit those guys, fade for extra comfort, and we're taking the Bloodhorn with the boss. Monk is my PI target, so I PI him after Zwin and before Bone Dust Brew. And lead with dots, allowing a little bit of a delay for damage to go out before Boon. We have a Nova Blast pattern. But at the top of the fight, there's not any health missing yet, so you don't want to lead with Boon. You want to give it a little bit of time, and you'll see I had a perfectly timed eruption there to counteract that last AoE. And here's my next schism. I am missing a little bit of mana, and we're going to use it for some DPS too, but we Shadow Fiend and Schism on Decia. And I was one of the first to get a dot. It's never a bad idea to use wall early, that way you can get it again in a fight. And here I went into a Rapture just to cover the dots a little bit. Playing a little more defensively than I usually do, but you can notice how my Grid 2 profile really allowed me to maximize that Rapture window. And here's our second boon. So I refresh my dots, I refresh a couple of atonements. Schism, Boon, Nova Blast. Worked in a Blast, Radiance Blast there at the end, just for coverage. And there we go. Really not a problem at all. So going into Varuth, we have PI available again. We're going to lead with a barrier. PI our Monk after Zwin before Bone Dust Brew. And I trail in a barrier at the very tail end of that cast. We want it to be active for the dot it leaves too. So I don't really have the best cooldowns available at the moment, and we just dump mana to heal through it. Radiance into a Schism. Grievous was nerfed a long time ago. It's really not a problem for Discipline. It's not a super fun affix to deal with because we just have to favor Shadow Mend, but it's totally possible. I think a lot of people discount Discipline. But it's totally able to handle Grievous. So I spread my dots, I atone a handful of us in the group, and I boon, Schism Boon, with a Nova Blast pattern. That's only a 3-pack, so definitely Nova Blast for the stacks. And we're going into Sagadan. Rip the warrior. I head over here to give him a feather just to help the interception. And Sagadan and all Tormentors are a great place for Shadow Fiend. I look at that spell as just a DPS boost. I rarely ever need it for the healing, but we use it for the DPS and we use it for the mana. So I get some atonements out, refresh my dot, Shadow Fiend, and then Schism last. And my Power of the Dark Side there, you'll see I had a proc, and anticipating that damage, the best way to use your procs as a healer is to kind of pool them, to bank them. You don't always want to just dump them immediately. So yeah, you'll see there I have a weak aura to help track the timer on my Power of the Dark Side, and I used it right after that AoE slam a little bit more smartly than just dumping it right when I get it. And we are fortified, so this pull can get hairy. I'm just getting atonements out for coverage before the fight even starts. And I don't bother dotting but one person. I schism and get into Boon as quickly as possible. And I opted to PI our warrior there because our monk held half of his cooldowns. If he had used both of his cooldowns, he would have been my PI target, but for some reason there he held his 2 minutes win, and without both buffs active, I thought more benefit would be had from the warrior. And if you check the meters, the warrior did a lot better than the monk there. Yeah, I don't know why the monk held. I would say that's just a bad play on his part. And yeah, these pulls are always a little bit hairy, especially I wasn't there yet, so I walled preemptively just to allow a buffer for me to enter combat. I'm getting a couple dots out, using penance to spread a dot. And I am holding Schism here. This is going to be a relatively short pull, and we're going to need it next. So I am a little bit low mana. Thankfully, the tank is willing to work with me. We drop combat, I get in a quick drink, and we're going to use Boon here, which is no mana, so we're totally fine. This pull is a standard double, but we are fortified, so we really have to be on our toes. So I atoned the whole group with the tank last, Schism and Boon. This is a Nova Nova Blast pattern. And I played, that wasn't a perfect Boon if you play it back. I had like a cancel cast in there. I dropped atonements before the eruption. Yeah, it wasn't the best Boon I've ever had, but it was enough to get through that. I think I like hesitated a little bit, and then I canceled a cast, and then when I needed to actually cast the Radiance, I just opted not to, or I don't know, could have done it better. That's alright. And on this platform there's not much you can do but DPS, so we get one round of Schism, and I just push my single target DPS rotation. Death, Penance, Solace, Mind Blast. I don't really mind Seer, a 2-pack. I think you can get more DPS output from the single target there. I think where you really start to see a difference in DPS output is with a pack 3 or more. So I'm letting our group know this is a barrier pull, we're fortified. This is a very notable pull for the dungeon. So I lead with atonements. And here comes the AoE. I drop Barrier, PI our Monk, Schism and Boon, Blast Radiance Blast, and that's a Nova Nova Blast pattern. Again, looking at the meters, I should have PI'd our Warrior, because our monk's cooldown windows are a little bit wonky at this moment, and he got a PI with only half of his spells available. didn't fully maximize there. I think I was just a little hasty to get PI out, and it should have gone to the warrior in hindsight, but the monk's just playing a little bit weird. And I don't know what killed the warrior there. We might have missed a kick. And not too much goes on with this platform. You have to watch out for ground damage, which I think the graphic is a little bit hard to see. So you're paying attention to ground damage while not pulling in the mobs on the side of the platform. And we have quite a bit of time until the boss, and this is a pretty hefty single target pull right here. So I Shadow Fiend and Schism just for the DPS. Get new dots out, spread a dot with Penance. And I think this is when I'm realizing I also could have booned here. I had enough time, but I think I dropped a boon. I forget what I did on the next platform. I might have used it there, or I might have held for boss at that point. But definitely drop boon. I really don't think I was anticipating this route. And that's why I was dropping spells. Looks like I dropped PI here too. Kind of in between a rock and a hard place. If I played PI early, it would have been plenty of time to have on boss pull. But I hesitated a little bit and then lost my opportunity. So here's my boon. So Schism and boon. And this pull can be dangerous. And yeah, that's really sad. There goes our monk. I think he was clipped by the attack. And I tried to sneak in for the life grip, but he was punted directly away from me, so it made it really hard. And then while he was dead, a kick was missed, which killed me right there. And that almost killed me. This platform can be most dangerous with the magic dots. Best to try and dispel those early and keep your dispel running. Keep that 8-second spell cooldown going. And yeah, looking at this in hindsight, I completely missed a round of PI, but I just wasn't ready for that that route. And here is our second boss. We are non-tyrannical, so walk in the park. You just have to play the mechanics right. DPS the best you can. I always opt for dispelling one dot. The only preferential treatment is on myself. Tank is last on priority, and I just heal the second dot. So I open with Schism and Boon, just for the damage, and with Bloodlust, we get a Nova Blast pattern, more damage that way. You always want to use your main rotation spells when they're active. You want as little uptime on those as possible. And here's our second Schism. So I refresh my dot, refresh my atonements, Shadow Fiend and Schism for that damage phase. always making sure to roll your main offensive spells. There is a chunk of time when they're all waiting on their cooldown, and in that interim is where you want to reatone or redot. You never want to favor reatoning or dotting if your rotation spells are active. Hope that made sense. For that damage round, I was getting a little behind, so I went for my defensive Rapture, using Grid 2 to maximize where my shields are going. And boss is over, no problem. Going on to the next wing. So, in a moment like this, I'm scanning what cooldowns I have available, kind of planning what I'm doing next. And we have a big room here, so this is a Schism and Boon. I get out a couple of dots, but I did not really atone anyone. So the top of my boon I broke, so I blast, Radiance Blast at the very top of my boon, and I just favored Nova there. A better play might have been to atone everybody before I got into boon. I could have saved having to cast Radiance in there, but that's fine. There is a bleed that goes out here. It's really important to be able to track that with your bars. Usually an atonement is all you need to get through it. And pull is just ending, and we have boon again. So I'm killing about 5 seconds here, dotting the group, atoning a handful of us, and I believe I Schism and boon. This is a straight Nova Nova Blast. Try and hit as many mobs as I can. I didn't break from the cooldown window once. Trying to really maximize our DPS and cooldown reduction. Priest can be really valuable on weeks with Spiteful. We have Fear, which can stop the ghosts, and Shining Force to punt them away. Punt them off yourself, punt them off your allies. And here we have Cold Heart. So in this small interim, I'm scanning what cooldowns I have available, and it looks like this is going to be a Shadow Fiend for us. So I open with just a regular rotation to get those spells rolling, get a couple of atonements out. I definitely atone the target, and Shadow Fiend Schism. And this is another pull. It looks like our monk held his cooldowns. I guess it's debatable if he should or shouldn't do that on a single target, but PI went to the warrior there. I think when your spells are 2 minutes and 1 minute, there's almost no reason you should ever hold a 1 minute, and it's debatable if you are going to hold a 2 minute even, but even those should be rolled kind of constantly. There was no reason at all the monk couldn't have at least used Bone Dust Brew there. Yeah, because looking at my PI timer, it's been a minute, so his Bone Dust Brew would have been available back there and here. It's not an either or scenario, you get it on both. And that was a Schism Boon, Nova Nova Blast, and looks like our monk, who's been holding his cooldowns, dies to ground damage. So if we were to score him right now, use Shining Force to get that ghost off me. I think we wait to get in a res here. The monk says he panic rolled into the ground damage. So yeah, we'd have to watch the replays, but panicking is not a good excuse. So we have no boon, not going to use PI at this point, but I'll get all my dots out just to pad the healing. And I Radiance to atone the group into a Rapture to play off the passive mastery boost we get. This guy does constant AoE when you're in range, so it's best to use some sort of cooldown here, and all we had available was Rapture, but it was perfect for that pull. Radiance and then Rapture. Our mastery stat increases the output of your heals on anyone who's atoned. So Radiance to atone everyone, then Rapture them. You get a stronger Rapture. This is a quick drink moment. And pooling resources just a little bit here. The route kind of called for PI to be held. I'm guessing it's been available for about a minute now, but we definitely want to have it on the boss. It's a long fight. The way I kind of see PI is it's just a spell that will speed up a fight, saving time. So on a boss fight like this, which is a little bit more lengthy, we wanted it here. So I already don't really trust our monk, plus on the overall damage, our warrior is doing better than the monk, so he's getting my PI this time. And you definitely always want to dot those adds. They will live for usually about 20 seconds, which is the duration of your dot. More DPS that way, more healing, padding. And our second schism is coming available here. I refresh a couple of atonements, refresh my dot, and I Shadow Fiend Schism. Don't really need the mana, don't really need the healing, but we need the DPS. And I spread that final dot with a Penance. Wall is a great spell. It has no global cooldown. You need to bind your wall in a very easily to reach place. You always need to be able to reach it on quick notice. And I Pain Scepter tank there for one of the slashes, or the strikes I mean. You can use the audible Q to kind of get in front of it, but Pain Scepter is really good to mitigate some of that spike damage. Dot one of the adds. Spread the final dot with Penance. And we have Boon again. I think we're just waiting on Schism. Refresh Atonement. Schism. No, we hold. Ooh, I'm trolling. Oh wow. Good thing I didn't die. So sometimes I will hold Boon at the end of a boss fight. In a situation like that, Boon was totally unnecessary. I probably would not have gotten a full 10 seconds of Boon. So I would have had a heavy cooldown coming out of the boss fight when our next pull would be a better choice. And this pull is commonly a double, and you can see our tank was off to the left there, but we only took this as a single. There's not much to worry about here except for ground damage. There is an AoE attack too, but PI on our monk this time, he has both his cooldowns. and Schism Boon, Nova Nova Blast, aiming for maximum return, maximum DPS. And it looks like I'm just opting to heal through it, kind of, but Rapture is a great spell for those AoE spike damage moves. So this girl has the Ricochet Blade, which isn't too deadly by itself, but if the RNG of other attacks are not in your favor, two going off at the same time could mess you up. So what I'm getting at is it's avoidable damage. Each side, the left and right side of this room, have a little gap where you can hide behind the stairs. You have to time it really quickly. If you wait even like half a second, you're not going to get out of her LOS. So as soon as you get that target on your head, you have to step behind the stairs, and you can completely dodge that attack. When it comes to dodging damage, that is a really important aspect of World of Warcraft play. A lot of people might just think, oh well, my healer will take care of it. And for the most part, yeah, we will, but what you're not considering is the fact that now we have less mana and we're having to waste time to drink. Or I'm Shadowman spamming you when I need to be DPSing. There's a lot of recoil when it comes to not playing mechanics right, and you really just got to avoid damage to have smooth runs, optimal runs. And I wasn't ready for that one. I forgot this guy did that, but yeah, on this side of the room, it's the back staircase that you need to hide behind. The ones on the sides don't have a gap. It's the one on the back. And I'm still holding Rapture here. I could have at least used it on the guy before. Definitely needed to use it somewhere. It's really nice to prevent that spike damage. You can almost completely mitigate it. So the Ricochet will only ever go to ranged. It looks like on the other side I was the only one picked, coincidentally, and this time it looks like it's going to the Mage the whole time. But thankfully he knows how to play it. Ooh, that one went to me. And so that's what I mean by if the RNG of two different abilities overlaps poorly. We had the AoE spike damage, which took my health flow, followed by a Ricochet Blade. So if both had hit me, it would have been a fatality, but I was able to dodge one and live. And this is a quick drink.
You had best make this interesting.
So third boss, if you notice my bigwigs, I only track the Might of Maldraxxus. It's the slam leap where he jumps to the middle. I track that so that I can time my Rapture to land slightly in front of the attack and then slightly after the attack to refresh my Raptures. And this is non-tyrannical, but I still use my DPS spells for the banners. So first up we're going to have a Schism and Boon. Dot the banner, immediately Schism and Boon. We have two mobs to hit, so that's good. And this is a Nova Nova Blast pattern. We really need to get that banner down, it's no joke. And in that little dance phase, you just gotta dodge the directional damage and don't let it get in the way of you pushing your DPS spells. I focused on my main rotation, only keeping a few people atoned. And for this banner, all 5 of us were present, so I hold Shadow Fiend there and use it on the boss. So Shadow Fiend early, Radiance, then Schism. And we have Rapture again. It's a really great way to mitigate that Might of Maldraxxus, which is coming now. So I Rapture a little bit late so that I can hit our party members that were downstairs. And it looks like I got 4 of the 5 of us. And that was boss 4. Only one more boss to go. We are only 1 mob shy of 100%. We have over 6 minutes. We're going to go straight into boss with the trash mob last. Pretty standard route. The trash group that's available is of 3. But we only need to kill 1 for the percent, so we don't want to take it first, being that we don't need to waste time killing 3. So cooldowns are available, we go into the boss, and then we focus down 1 ad next.
At long last, a worthy contender. Behold my power and despair.
Alright, so there's my PI target. We're going to give it to the monk. After's win before Bone Dust Brew. Pushing as much DPS as I can while Bloodlust is active. We killed all Tormentors, so this is going to be a fairly easy fight for us. And here come some ads. And I get into a Schism boon, trying to get return off these ads. And with Bloodlust, we have a Nova Blast pattern on the boss. And here we are right at 50%, so I lead with a Rapture. I think I was a little bit late, to be honest, but I didn't even notice. But at 50% there is a party-wide attack spike damage, and you can use Rapture just to kind of mitigate it. And I almost got pinned with those mechanics, but thankfully I used a Feather and ran out. So anticipating more AoE damage, I Shadow Fiend on the front end just for a cushion, and then Schism on the back end of that damage. Again, Feather for the win. I was put in a really precarious place there, but was able to live. And Schism's up, Boon's up, Dots are refreshed, Atonements are refreshed. Schism, Boon, Nova Blast. PI came up again too, gave it to our warrior that time. When he's in execute range, they can do really good with it. But if I had been anticipating this trash pull better, I might have held that PI there because we didn't get good value and dropped it on our monk here. It might have been seconds quicker, but that's it though. Key is over, and that was a pretty good run. It's always important if you're a melee class to be on top of your kicks on the platform. That's the only thing that led to a death. And I pulled up my breakdown right there for you if you want to go back and pause it, but I wanted to show that even though this is a Grievous week, we're not even Shadowmen spamming that much. We're really relying on Boon, and Atonement is always our #1 heal as always. So thank you for watching, everybody. That was a 21 Theater of Pain, and until next time, Disc out.